The Game Review.
Alright, Paj, thanks to the kind folk over at Nintendo Australia who provided a review code, I got to sit down and check out Paper Mario, the Origami King for the Nintendo Switch. We spoke about it a little earlier in the episode as well. Scared the shit out of me when you did that. So I did say that I've been enjoying the game. It really is one of my favourite Paper Mario entries since Thousand Year Door. Does have its differences. I do have my gripes. But in terms of how I would compare it to like Color Splash and the Sticker Star, I'd say that this is a major improvement over both. There is some concern, and rightfully so, about its battle system. The battle system itself is rough. So what they've done basically is they've introduced this round table battle system where enemies get planted on this spindle, basically, and that you have to almost line them up, and then like you proceed into that RPG-esque battle. But there is so much lack in depth in terms of that battle. You can collect different items as you go through your adventure, like concrete boots. I'm not going to say too much because then it'll get into spoiler territory, and I don't want to get into that. You can read Bryce's review on Friday on Dash Gamer for all those in-depth details. But you're able to pick up all the additional items and everything else. But what basically they've done here is tried to change up the game in terms of the way a battle works, a JRPG battle works. But the problem that they've kind of put into it is they've put too much into it now. And I feel like a younger audience is going to struggle to actually play this game instead of finding it intuitive or even finding that they're learning anything in terms of battle. It really kind of... It even confused me. And for somebody who's like really hardcore into JRPGs and RPGs... I was like, man, I have to go through this puzzle at the beginning of this battle, line them up, and like figure out what I'm going to use to actually whack them with, and then go into the battle. It's just too much work. I just want to jump in, have the battle, be happy that I defeated them, and keep going with my story, which I will say is the strongest point of this game. It's the strong suit. The narrative is awesome. It's well written. It's well done. Paper Mario has always had that a strong comical relief to it, while also presenting some serious moments. And I really felt like this entry had some very dark tones towards it at the beginning. I messaged Betson and I said, "Dude, this is like some Children of the Corn shit that's happening right now." It really felt like a demonic cult. And I was really enthralled. I was encapsulated by what was being presented to me through this game. I really enjoyed the characters, some of the original characters that they were presenting as antagonists. Well, it's not really original characters, but you'll understand what I'm saying when I say that.
Because remember, they're not allowed to have original characters, as we discussed earlier.
No, exactly. But I honestly think that so far from what I've played, man, I'm really, really digging what I've seen so far. But once again, and it's up on screen right now, this battle mechanic, this battle system that they've got going is probably it's the weakest part of the game. And to be honest, it's sad that I say that, because at its forefront, Paper Mario is an RPG. It's a turn-based RPG franchise.
Yeah.
So, you got any questions, Paige?
Not really. I haven't dived into it myself yet. The combat is the one kind of big consistent thing that I've been hearing across the board. And the way you've described it certainly is kind of how I understood it to be.
Yeah.
I figured there'd be a lot of depth to it, but it sounds like that's not the case.
No.
So, can we just get back to Thousand Year Door?
Well, that's what everybody's been saying. And even the people that have actually picked this game up, because it's available now in retail stores and on digital, so make sure you do pick it up. But the one thing that people have been saying is, can we just get Thousand Year Door back? And I agree with those people, because Nintendo really... the one thing that Nintendo are good at are not listening to people or their fans sometimes. And sometimes they do. But I believe that when it comes to things like they believe that should remain untouched, and we just saw we heard a perfect example today on the podcast. they really don't want to touch some of their IPs or change them to please their audience. They really have, it's like, no, we have a vision here, and this is how it's going to go.
Which is good sometimes. Because if you listen to the community too much, you become upholden to them and it stifles creativity. But they are, like, there's two extremes. There's that, what I just described, where you just do everything they say. It becomes a game that's designed by committee, and you end up getting, say, the equivalent of Fuse back in the day that Insomniac did, because EA just, completely took the torch to it because they got focus testers and they ruined it. But then you get on the flip side, which is where Nintendo's largely existed, which is this, it's our way, we ignore you, and we'll make the game that we want to make, and you'll like it. And more often than not, they strike the mark. They're great like that. But Paper Mario is one of those franchises that has dwindled and failed and struggled, and people are begging for. We see the same sort of thing going with Pokemon over the journey as well. With kind of now admittedly a large portion of that community are arseholes, but we've seen the same sort of thing go on there, where people are pleading with them to go pursue a particular path, and they've just gone nope, and they've just bubbled along and just gone in their own way, and it's the franchise has lost a little bit of its shine. Yeah, they need to at least recognize and hear what the community is saying. Look for little ways to embed it, and maybe they go and create the next Paper Mario is essentially, it won't be entitled, but let's say it's the next 1,000-Year Door 2, and if it doesn't work, they go, well, look, we did what you asked, and it didn't work, or you didn't buy it, or you didn't care, or reviewers didn't like it, whatever the case is, and we move on. And if it turns out to be a hit, they go, okay, well, here's our new foundation. We've got something that people like, people are buying, people love. Now let's tweak that. Like, let's keep the core of this and just fiddle with little things to make it different, to make it stand apart from what's come before. Yeah. That's more likely to work. Yeah. So I think it's the way they approach the design that needs to shift, as opposed to completely overhauling the franchise every single time with a new mechanic or whatever.
I believe that's been also their weakness as well, in creating basically creating a foundation for Paper Mario every time they release it. It's, please establish something, then take on its strengths and build upon that. Don't try and reestablish this franchise every time. Like, we understand you want to make something that's completely different every time. You can do that, but you can also keep its strong suits and follow up on them and build on it.
The problem that we've got is that the foundation of the franchise that you speak of isn't a mechanical one. Yeah. It's an aesthetic one. Yeah. And so they feel like they can do whatever they want with that, which is reasonable, because the fact that they've made a paper is it does really open the floodgates to a lot of potential, but they need to have this aesthetic linchpin and something mechanically to kind of hinge the experience around. The 3D Marios, the 2D Marios haven't deviated, despite the fact that they're brilliant for a myriad of different ways. The core idea remains exactly the same. Yeah. The Zelda games, as much as I'm not the biggest Breath of the Wild guy, love that game. The core concept, and I know that that's an unpopular opinion, I'm not the biggest Breath of the Wild guy, but the core concept of Zelda and what you do and how you interact with the world has remained the same. Yeah. They've just added layers and layers and layers on top of it. Yeah. And Mario doesn't have that identity. Paper Mario, doesn't have that identity. It doesn't have that key concept in the middle there, because they keep chopping and changing it. Correct.
Look, my final thought on it is it's still a very good game. It's awesome to play. The narrative is really strong. Like I said, the weakest point is probably its battle system, but it's still worth giving it a go. Might be for you. I don't know about it being for me per se. I still feel like it has its elements where I very much enjoy thinking about it's strategically thinking about how I'm going to attack my foes and everything, but I just feel like they overdid it, and it's kind of gonna like I said, that younger audience are gonna find it a little bit confusing. So I don't know, man. I just feel like I don't know, but it's a good game. I definitely would recommend.
I'm keen to give it a go.
Yeah, thanks to Nintendo Australia for providing the review code for that one.